Today, Cartagena remains very black with a high population of Afro descendants. Yet it is the most racist city in Colombia. That has a population of mainly people of color. There are problems of discrimination still. This is the legacy of being the first black port of this period of slavery. From the black port city in Cartagena, our people were distributed throughout the South American continent. So the whole concept of France and Spain and England and Portugal and all that stuff, and slavery and all that stuff, was really only in South America. So where all these people in North America that claim, where they come from? Because clearly, by mentioning France, Spain, England, and Portugal, and talk about ships and docks and all that stuff, castles on hills and all that type of stuff, that's only in South America. That's not North America. So now the question is, if slavery was a South American thing, where all these people in North America come from that claim, lie on their self, talk about they came over here on some slave ship? So the Palenque. But to go further, Catalina was abducted in 1509 by a Spanish conqueror, Diego de Nicuesa, Diegodeniceuesa, from an indigenous settlement known as Zamba, or Galera Zamba, G-A-L-E-R-A-Z-A-M-B-A, where she was the daughter of the local chief. She was sent to Santo Domingo, where she learned the Spanish language and adopted the Catholic religion. Pedro de Heredia required her to serve as an interpreter to the Native Americans. Afterwards, she married Alfonso Montanez, Pedro de Heredia's nephew. And there's a statue that they have of the sister that they call Catalina. And then you see she has the feather in the middle of the forehead. Same thing that Noble Drew Ali had, just because that's Aboriginal and indigenous culture. And then you can see her right there, standing on her toes. Right? And just be shocked that there's even information on standing on toes, and then you'll realize why all these people want to take their children to go be ballerina and stuff like that. All our stuff that we don't even know is our stuff. Really, it's just yoga, to put it simple. When the Spanish would capture or recapture our people in the Palenques, our people were punished in proportion to the time they were missing from their owners. If missing for 30 days, they would be beat 30 times. We have a Catholic Church here, but really, the Catholic Church was imposed by the Spanish on our community because our religions are African. We believe in and have our African gods and goddesses like Shango, Yemeya, Orisha. For example, the Lumbalas are chants we sing at funerals, the songs of death, and they are sung by our women. One Labalu they sing is for persons who die that are 50 years and up. This particular Lumbalu cannot be sung for children that die because they are free of sin. The Lumbalus are sung so that the soul of the person can rest in peace and return again to Africa, our homeland. The Lumbalas are sung so that the soul can go rest in peace in Africa, our homeland. In the past and until today, we have no government police here. The community does not want Colombian police. Why? Not because they shoot people and all of that. Why? We want to preserve our independence. We solve our problems here between the father and one and the father of the other. We truly value the older members of our community. If they cannot reconcile the issue, the people in conflict each pay a fine to our community government. That's the people who came over here from Africa on a slave ship, remind you. Remember, that's people that the Africans sold to the Europeans, and then the Europeans brought them over here on a slave ship. They came here and started their own community here. That was an indigenous community. Using their African culture. Why? Why would they be able to come as slaves from Africa over here, right? So they crossed the Atlantic on a slave ship and then came over here. And instead of trying to go back there, they stayed here and built a culture here. Does that sound real similar to what Noble Ali is telling Negro black colored people to do? Be a community. In order to be a community, you have to call yourself something. All of them realize that they're something. And they agree that they're something. And police don't even go to their neighborhood. Because they're independent and they have their own way that how stuff gets run. So don't even come over here with anything. Right? The father killer, Farrah Gray, had on his website, you know Farrah Gray? A big head, light-skinned boy. Make him dark skinned. He looks like somebody. Farrah Gray's website. So Farrah Gray put this picture up on his website this week. And then he circled two people. One of those people is Jack Daniels. One of those people is Jack Daniels. After 150 years, Jack Daniels has finally revealed that a slave was behind the world-famous recipe for America's most popular whiskey. Until now, the story was told that a white moonshine distiller named Dan Call had taught his young apprentice, Jasper Newton Jack Daniel, how to run his Tennessee distillery. But it appears that the brand is finally ready to embrace its controversial history after it revealed it was not Dan Call, but one of Call's slaves named Neris Green, Nearis Green, who had passed on his distilling experience to Daniel. It has taken something like the anniversary of us to start to talk about ourselves. Nelson Eddie Jack Daniel, in-house historian, told the New York Times. According to 1967 biography, Jack Daniel's legacy, Call told his slave to teach Daniel everything he knew. Uncle Nearest is the best whiskey maker that I know of, Cal is recorded as having said. So Uncle Nearest is a slave, right? Uncle Nearest is supposedly a slave. Now, where I come from, when somebody got their hat like Uncle Nearest, we just call them Saga Boy. And you see this Saga Boy, You don't mess with the Saga boy. The Saga boy is a Bajan, you know, boy. That is why he's hot so. That is why he's hot so. He cocked the hat on the side of the head and thing. That is Bajan thing, right? Slavery was brought to an end in 1865 with the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Daniel opened his own distillery a year later where he employed two of Green's sons. A photo taken from the time shows a man thought to be one of Green's sons sitting alongside Daniel and his workers. The photograph is significant as typically black employees would have been forced to stand at the back. His inclusion may have signified that he played an important role at the Jack Daniels distillery. Yet Nearest Green and his family were all too quick forgotten about until very recently. So all you Moors who like to put up your Jack Daniels, now you got something to take a swig for. Because it was actually a brother's stuff. For all those Klansmen who drink their Jack Daniels, everybody's getting it right now. All those Klansmen. All the Klansmen are getting it right now. Throwing bottles against the wall like, yo, this is a bull. Right. Now, one thing we're gonna have to talk about, because I already see 500 million questions. So yes, finally, people, because those weren't there earlier today. So people obviously got the message when they sent questions. Excellent. So Sunday's Canaan Land class, that's what we're doing, all class. Every single question that gets sent, we're gonna answer them.